this morning. Tell us about the journey of tracking this particular family from Lombasi to Lusikisiki for the memorial service. But at that moment as well, where they were getting onto these taxis, what was going through their mind? What were they sharing with you about having to say goodbye to 18 family members?
Good morning to you too, Aldrin. I mean, it was hectic this morning. I mean, they woke up very early today, preparing to come to this particular memorial service. But unfortunately, the bus that was organized by Ngobozan Hill municipality broke down, and they had to organize alternative transport. After an hour or so, they had to get into minibus taxis, 4 of them, and we've been traveling with them. What they're sharing with us, Aldrin, is that they are disappointed that they couldn't get to the venue on time, and the fact that they were promised to be escorted by the police, and police were not there, and fearing for their lives, because you know that what happened on the 28th of this month, last week, Saturday, is that they were gathered together and they were ambushed. So they're fearing that history may repeat itself, but eventually they managed to get into those 4 minibuses, and other people had already left Aldrin with private transport because they had to attend a meeting with the authorities planning for today. And now I understand the taxis, they've gone to on the other side of the venue. As you can see, this college, they've gone to the other side, rushing to that particular meeting. And we can now see some of the family members walking down, heading to the tent. That is where a formal memorial service will get underway at 10 o'clock. We understand that that meeting may be over. They may be a little bit too late for that meeting, but to understand that some of their family members managed to get to the meeting. Yesterday, we were speaking to another family member who lost his wife on that fateful morning, and we understand that he was early to get here. And here are some of the members of the family that we were speaking to yesterday. Some of them lost the 18th member of the family, Skonodo Nyawuza, who was the 18th, the last person to die. He was, initially lifted from St. Elizabeth Hospital here in Lusikisiki to Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital. That is where, when the early helicopter landed, that is when he also passed away. And when speaking to his mother, she was saying that she had hoped that her son would survive. And she didn't only lose her son, she also lost 2 of her sisters, Nancy Matu and Mary Sinqina. These family members now, Aldrin, are from the meeting. If I may speak to one of them, Molotata, ingaba nisuka kwinhlanganiso ye family. Oh, okay. Nisuka kwephi family nina, and benisenza ntoni pha meeting, benixelelwa ntoni pha meeting?
Sisuka kwifamily yakwaDukuza kodwa sifike sekulate sekuphunywa sekuziwa ngapha ententeni.
Initially, when this particular meeting was planned, what was on the agenda?
Sifike sekulate sekuphunywa sekuyiwa ententeni, so ndifike ngoku sekuphunywa line.
Okay. Nani benityaswe transport?
Yes, sisuka from Joburg.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much, Aldrin. This is one of the families, 18 families represented here. They are all related, Aldrin. They may be using different surnames, but they are all related. They all belong to one clan family. Others are in-laws, others are cousins, siblings, brothers, sisters, wives, husbands, and most of them, Aldrin, are women. We understand that the 18 of them that were brutally gunned down on that fateful morning, and out of the 18, 15 are women. And we also understand that amongst those who survived, the 5 of them, because initially it was 6 and then later on it was 5, amongst the 5 of them that have survived that brutal killing is a 2-month-old baby, you know, who belongs to Sinqena family in Lambasi. That is where we are coming from. And in that particular homestead, yesterday we spoke to the surviving daughter of Mary, and who said that she will be looking after a 2-month-old baby. But what is bothering her, Aldrin, is that what is she going to tell this little boy when he grows up? Here is the King family, David King. They lost Ruth King, 21-year-old Ruth King, whose mother was in one of the rooms on that day, and they're also arriving in. And I understand, Mr. King, David King, you were in that meeting with the authorities. What was discussed there? Were they preparing you for this memorial service, or is there anything that we need to know?
Yeah, actually, what we were discussing in those meetings is the preparations for the memorial service. And we've also touched a bit on the preparations for the funeral as to how they're going to assist the families. And they haven't confirmed anything as yet because they are to still speak to the funeral parlor directors. So they are going to come back to us and let us know exactly what is it that they're going to provide for us. But let me also mention, we do appreciate, because there has been groceries that the families have received, which is of great assistance to families, because they are able now at least to serve something to those people who come and visit them in their homes.
Yes, in terms of the preparations from government side, you are happy, but in terms of how your brother's wife feeling, we understand that Ruth was killed in front of her, dying, pleading for help from her mother. How is she doing?
She's traumatized. She's traumatized. I think a colleague of yours went to interview her yesterday, and she's having sleepless nights. My brother as well. They're having it very hard, because you'd recall that these gunshots that killed her daughter, they were happening, and she could hear them because she was just in the next room, and she was helpless. There was nothing she could do to help her daughter. So I think that is what's actually killing her now. That, look, I have failed my daughter. I haven't been able to help her. I haven't been able to save her life. You see, I think that's what is actually killing her. That's making her cry now and again. You know, when she prays at night, when she cries at night, I don't think every night that I've slept there, I don't remember a night going by without her crying during the night.
Did they manage to come and attend the memorial service today?
Yes, they have managed. They are still kept there at the wall. They will be brought down when the memorial service is about to start.
Thank you so much, Sir David King. The uncle to Ruth King, a 21-year-old Aldrin, was amongst the initially 17 people that were gunned down on the 28th of September, last week, Saturday. From that meeting that we were talking about, Aldrin, where they were discussing, the final touches of today's memorial service and moving into preparations for the funeral next week. We also understand that the funeral will take place from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, as we know that these families will bury their loved ones individually, so that they are able to honor them and pay and send them off in a dignified manner. Aldrin.
Ntsiki, I want to now take you back to the moment that you found out about this particular story. Can you take us back there? And also, when you arrived on the scene, what did you find on the scene? And some of the initial people that you spoke to, and of course, as we had reported at the time, that only 17 people had died, and later on that number increased to 18. Take us back to that moment.
On that day, Aldrin, I mean, we arrived here on the same day, later on that day, on the 28th of September last week. And when we got here, we spoke to the police district commissioner, O.R. Tambo district commissioner, General Phumzile Cetyana, who was telling us that they don't know what the motive is of these killings. And when we got into the people, the neighbors rather, before speaking to the survivors, the neighbors painted a picture of the gunshots that they heard on that day, unusual gunshots that they used to, and it was like earthquake. That's how they described the gunshots, the sound of the gunshots on that day. And, we saw blood all over, bloodbath in the veranda in both the houses where most of the family members were sleeping in. We understand it was the Ntsiki homestead. That's the main household where these members of the same family were going to depart from, as they were going to travel on that day to Mantlaneni village, which is about over an hour away from Ngobozan village. That's where they were going to have a cleansing ceremony, as well as the unveiling ceremony of one of their daughters who was gunned down last year in August when she visited her mother here at Ngobozan. Her mother, who was killed together with her, and she was 6 months pregnant at the time Andiswa was murdered last year. And we also managed, Arjun, to speak to those who survived. I mean, initially 6 people survived that killing and the attack, and amongst the 6 people was 2-month-old baby and Gononda Nyauza, who later died in hospital. We understand that he was admitted here in Lusikisiki at St. Elizabeth Hospital, and later on he was lifted to Mthatha, and on the helicopter, on touching down, he passed away on arrival. So all in all, the only surviving members of the same families is 5 when you include the 2-month-old baby. And some of those survivors is Ruth's mom, as well as Msoluvele, a family member who lost his wife, the wife, initially warned him not to come out of the room. And immediately after that, he heard gunshots, and moments later, he went out to investigate what was going on, and he saw bodies piling on top of each other, and his wife was amongst the dead. Adrian.
Yeah, a difficult story there to recollect, and also the description of it, that it is a massacre. What you can see on the side of your screen there is one of the homesteads where this massacre took place. The crime scene was still live, and you have police officers also eventually visiting, including the senior police officers. And of course, as Ntsiki has said, the 2-month-old baby being amongst those who have survived. So as we continue to reflect on the 18 victims who were massacred in Lusikisiki last week, let's remind ourselves of those victims and their names. So there you have the names: Tobile Singlina, 37 years old; Nonkanyiso Duguza, 19 years old; Ruth King, 21 years old. You just heard Ntsiki there speaking to one of the uncles of Ruth King, who was 21 years old, and just speaking about the trauma of it as well. And also this, I think the trauma that speaks to survivor's guilt, perhaps maybe something that we can touch on a bit later on. For those who have survived, do they go through survivor's guilt as part of the grieving process as well? Here are some of the other names: Mandisa Tlokweni, who was 59 years old; Samantha Singlina, who was 26 years old; Lungisa Kaulekane, who was 51 years old; Tandega Mdlaluvele, who was 46 years old; Mary Singlina, 63 years old; Nombuliso Duguza, 32 years old; Matembisile Singlina, 64 years old; Nobelungu France, 59 years old; Tembi Vimba, 41 years old; Nomazwi Leleni, female also 59 years old. Smomoza Singlina, 14 years old, the youngest victim here, 14 years old. Nancy Singlina, 59 years old. Dimpo Singlina, 30 years old. Tali King Singlina, 26 years old. And Sikopoto Kobela, 59 years old. There are the names of the 18 family members from the same family who were gunned down on the early hours of Saturday morning. Some people speak about hearing gunshots ringing out throughout the community, reverberating throughout the community, only to wake up to news that these family members had been gunned down. There's an issue that was raised about the response time of the police, considering that you also have the local police station not too far from the two homesteads, that is about 5 kilometers away, not more than 5 kilometers away. It's described as a state-of-the-art facility. One of the survivors speak about trying to call the police, and because of the network issue, and you can imagine that this is a rural province, a rural area, because of the network issues, they struggled to get through to the police, but eventually managed to get through to the police. A few moments later, the police descended on the scene, and the area was cordoned off. But the blood stains still on the wall, including the gunshots that were fired at these homesteads, still tell a story of what took place on that day and how shots were fired indiscriminately. And a 2-month-old baby, one of those who survived, he was found next to his mother. We understand more details revealing that he was crying at the time, the baby was crying at the time, as his mother was bleeding to death.